Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we are discussing Justice League Unlimited issue number 13 DCKO tie-in. So things started off a little slow for the tie-ins. They're starting to pick up now as we move closer and closer to what's happening actually in the KO event. So I'm excited to get into this one. Mantis, are you?
I am as well. Lucky number 13.
Right? That's always my favorite lucky number there. So let's not waste any more time because I don't want the luck to run out. Let's just go ahead and get on into the issue. All right, guys. So if you remember what was taking place in issue 12, we had our main heroes. The group was going down to the KO tournament down into the center of the earth to the heart of Apocalypse. We had the Titans and other various groups of heroes were trying to help evacuate the planet. But we had several displaced heroes that have come from the other times with everything going on with Grodd and Airwave that had been displaced that were going to hell to figure out why Neuron was kind of supercharging some of these villains and causing more and more problems. So this issue kind of opens up. I mean, we're just right in the middle of the action because it opens up to we see Alan Scott Green Lantern kind of all armored out a little bit, and you know he's got the Mystic Flame, right? It's looking pretty badass. And for those of you who
Mhm.
kind of don't know, the Mystic Flame is notably known from coming from the Starheart. And if you've watched my Green Lantern video, you'll know that the Starheart actually was originally how Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern, got his powers. Right? It gave him the powers. It came down to Earth in the form of a lantern. It told him to make the ring. That's how he gets his powers. And it's not from the Guardians of the Universe like the current run of Green Lantern. So thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's an older Alan Scott. He's got gray hair. Although he has the funny little mask here, which I don't know what that's supposed to do. But the rest of his armor looks fucking awesome. I like the little lanterns across all of his stuff. He looks really good.
Yeah, I'm okay with the little masks just because the rest of the armor and he's got the sword and everything. So I'm like, yeah, you can have the little mask kind of hide your identity. Not that I mean, clearly he's been older, and we're gonna find out that he's been around for a while, right? So
Mhm.
hiding your identity is that really that important? Everybody probably knew's dead, but he's got the Mystic Flame. However, it doesn't seem like it's gonna mean much down there, right? He's in hell, like you flames, you're surrounded by flames. All right.
Yeah.
And we see, obviously, we got Batman Beyond. I'm just going to call him Batman Beyond just because I don't want to say
Oh,
Terry
yeah.
McGinnis all the time or have to reference. He's not Batman. He's Batman Beyond. We got Gold Hawk, we got Superman Blue, and we see Mr. Terrific, and they're surrounded by demons. Then we switch over and we've got Boob Window, we got Aquaman, we got Guy Gardner, and we got Owl Girl, which, you know, in hindsight, this might not be the best place for Aquaman, at least. There's not really any water around.
Yeah, that's what I was joking with you about that. You brought Aquaman to this where there's no water or sea creatures. What the fuck is he gonna do? I mean, one of the cool abilities, because you mentioned this too, is like he can bring, he can grab the moisture, the water molecules out of people, rip them out, and effectively just kill them. And sorry about that. Thor is annoying right now with the rubber chicken. Um, but like, what the hell is he gonna do down in hell? Like, what is he gonna? What are you gonna do? Bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Right?
Sorry.
No, it's fine because it's a water gun in hell, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
doing a
yeah,
whole it's
yeah.
not doing a whole lot. So and to be fair, we're not going to see him do a whole lot in this issue because as we're continuing to get this narration from Alan, he mentions just what Mantis was alluding to earlier that through thanks to magic, he has existed for all of Superman's career, so throughout all of history, because he even refers to Superman Blue there, when he went through his electromagnetic phase. So he's seen the different variations and different Supermen. So he's existed for a lengthy amount of time here. And for those of you who kind of don't know, like the Superman Red, Superman Blue story, there was a period in the comics, and don't quote me on it, but I think it's in the late '90s where Superman's body is basically turned into pure energy, and kind of like with Captain Atom, he's got a special containment suit to hold that energy. And there were the two different forms, and one was in the red energy and then the blue energy, right? And then we see the three demons faces, or the demons three, as they've been known throughout history, because I mean these beings, they've existed for a billion years or so, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to pronounce their names. Mantis, if you want to take a crack at it, you go right ahead.
I don't think I am either. You mentioned the time change here because I'm a big Constantine fan. Time runs it's differently in Hell. It's a lot slower. So, yeah, and when I was first reading this too, I was like, "What are these things? Their eyes are freaking me out. They look like monkeys or something." And um, I don't know. The three, well, one of them look, well, they kind of look like gremlins almost. Like, and one of them's holding, they've got their own weapons. They're big.
What are those
It
bush
seems like a daunting
babies
task.
that have like the big eyes? That's
Yeah,
kind of like what they reminded me
yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. Actually, yes.
We see them, we see the bush babies down there, right? And they kind of just seem annoyed that somebody, normal mortals, as they want to call them, would have the gall to just like come down there and walk around in hell like it's just another, just another day, right?
Yeah.
And of course, they're telling them that they're going to face several of these challenges. And again, I'm going to just say the silver wheel because I'm going to pronounce the name of uh what it actually is called wrong, and then somebody's going to just blast me in the comments for it. So we're going to skip all that. You should be reading along, but the silver wheel there, and each of these different artifacts are tied to one of the demons three, right?
Demons.
So we have the silver wheel, we have the green bell, and then we have the red jar.
And the rubber chicken.
Yeah, and now that's Thor's. That's what's bonded to Thor. There is the rubber chicken, right? That these all, when again you see when open, when they come up against them, they all do pose different challenges to the heroes, right? And I'll say, so at one point in the comics, so all three of these items were gathered by Felix Faust to control the demons three at some point, because I guess having possession of them gives you control over them. But apparently nobody told them the rules when venturing down to hell, because it seems to kind of amuse the demons that it's like they don't know what's actually going on, down there, and how to navigate things. Because I mean, who the hell, no pun intended, does? You've never been to hell, right?
Look, like I said, and I said this last issue or last video when we did Justice League, I was like, this is a perfect place. Now they do mention him, a perfect place to bring in John Constantine. Like, if there's anybody else that you would want to bring along on this mission, it'd be John. And they kind of address the issue of how they made the boom tube to get down there. We'll talk about, I'm sure we'll talk about that when we get further in this issue, but they should have brought John on this mission. It's just my own thing.
They should have. I would say you should have brought John instead of Batman, because we kind of see what looks like a kind of a paranoid. Like he looks scared. Now, granted, he's wearing a full face mask, so it's a little different. But his eyes are kind of bugged out. He looks a little scared.
And he's
Right?
young too, right? Like he's a younger Batman.
Yeah, Terry's the younger version, right? So he hasn't experienced this, and even I mean, I think Bruce would probably be more conditioned to not panic being in hell, but he's a young kid going to hell, right? But we finally get a couple of the powerhouses in here, because we get Dr. Fate, we get Boob Window, and we get Guy. And it's just funny because that's just what Guy calls her, his boob window, because I mean, she obviously has this window into those massive titties she has.
Uh,
So Boob Window is here, which isn't really gonna kind of matter for too long, because they all get overrun by demons, right? And the whole
mhm.
point of what they're down there for is to buy them time to get to where they need to, right? And of course, he's seeing Kara, Superman Blue seeing Kara, kind of get her ass whooped and get, overrun by these demons. And he's like, wanting to go help. And they're like, nope, this is the reason they're down here. So they leave
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Mr. Terrific is just kind of like, you guys are all expendable. You're not even the real heroes, so I don't really care.
And I think that's the big thing, right? Is
Yeah.
they're from different points in time. They're not our current heroes. Where are some of our other current heroes is up at the Watchtower, right? Because we kind of do a dramatic shift to the Watchtower randomly here, and we see some of the challengers of the unknown are there. I'm gonna get to those eventually. I haven't done it yet, but they're bringing Red Tornado back online, and we kind of find out once he's brought back online and he does his Windows updates that what's happening on Earth with the Omega energy from Darkseid, it's making Earth uninhabitable, right? And they're obviously over the several of the tie-ins, we've been seeing the chaos trying to get Earth evacuated. Right. Luckily, though, at this point, a good chunk of Earth has been evacuated. And, they're continuing to discuss the situation. They mention Titans who are staying on Earth that are trying to assist in the evacuation, which, if you haven't watched it yet, and I'm looking at the numbers, I can tell most of you haven't, Titans 29 is out. That kind of goes over more of the struggle the Titans are having in multiple locations trying to help with this evacuation, right? The problem they're having now they got to deal with, and this is why our guys are down in hell, is the glow up that Neuron's giving all of these supervillains. And I normally wouldn't use the Gen Z slang. It's in the fucking comic book, right? They
It's
say it's a
there.
glow
It's
up.
there.
So
Yeah.
it's not normally my method of speaking. But and the problem is with these heroes kind of getting overly charged with power, or villains getting overly charged with powers, it's taking our heroes away from helping with the evacuation. So more people are dying. And then, of course, the narration's continuing on about the heroes making it down to hell to figure out what Neuron is up to, what's his grand plan here, right? And then we get more bad guys and another group of our heroes being attacked. And this time we've got Martian Manhunter, Doctor Occult, I pronounced his name right this time, and Kid Flash. They're being attacked by Chroma, Doctor Spectro, and Rainbow Raider.
Sorry.
We're gonna let that go. We're gonna let that go. And of course, we see Dr. Cold. He's trying to help. He's using some of his abilities here. But all three of these villains technically manipulate emotions, right? We've got the red, and we see Dr. Occult there in the red, which is obviously a rage, similar to with the Green Lantern rings, right? Red is is rage, in that's just its emotion in the visual spectrum, right?
Yep.
And then of course we got
Yellow.
yellow for being a massive pussy, right? It's for the cowardice,
Yeah.
right? Now, for those that are fans of the Arrowverse, we've seen Rainbow Raider in and I do like his name is Roy G. Bivolo in there. That's his real name, which Roy G. Biv, the color of the visual spectrum. But we see him in there, and that's where he kind of makes Barry kind of go evil or rage, right? And then obviously Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, he has to come in to stop him. And I think, the villains are kind of getting a little cocky, thinking they've won. And then they get hit by Kid Flash. And Kid Flash is telling me, obviously, like, hey, light's got to travel in straight lines, right? You got light beams going in straight where he can kind of zigzag. But he also kind of alludes to something else bigger brewing on the horizon, right? And I think this is where it is, because we go back to hell, right? AKA my full-time job. And we see that, good old Terry, Batman Beyond there, he is terrified.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a good one.
That was
That's a good one. I like dad jokes. That's a good one.
Okay.
Good one.
We'll let that go. But he's shaken up, obviously. Terry. He's shaken up by what he's seen, right? And Alan kind of reminds him that they don't have time for his shit, right? And he doesn't really sugarcoat it. He's like,
the game.
if you're gonna wear the bat suit and you're gonna portray Batman, you need to be Batman, and Batman would not act like this.
Yeah, we're in the shit. We were talking about kind of like, being trained and being people in the military. And it's like, you're a superhero. And I know hell is not any place any of these characters have ever been. And being one of the only ones on the team that doesn't have superpowers as Batman, right? He's just a mortal person with some cool gadgets. And he's, a kid basically. Like, he's way out of his league in this. So, like, it's not that unbelievable that he's the one that's freaked out about it, and everyone else is like, you need to get in the game. And it's like, yeah, that's easy for you to say. You have some fucking flame sword and a cool armor and all these powers. Like, I have none of that. I'm trying to fucking not get burnt by everything here. Like, it's just, I get where he's at in this. So
then why agree to go? Because
I don't know. I'd have told Terrific to fuck off. Like, I'm not.
Well, I mean, and Terrific's, he's got no special powers. He's got his tech, right? But at least he's got force fields. Now, I will say, though, as they kind of continue through hell here, right? Superman and Goldhawk, they decide they're going to go ahead and scout ahead, right? Because it always works best to divide your party. That never turns out bad. But, they're talking about Batman still here. And, they're like, aren't you armored up in that suit? And you got to kind of remember, too, like in the normal comics, if he's just wearing his normal bat suit, like, it didn't provide much protection. Well, I mean, it provided some protection, but it wasn't like super mechanically enhanced. Whereas in Batman Beyond suit, there are like servo driven motors in there to provide extra stability for jumps, and he can jump higher, and it increases his abilities. It helps with his strength. It does provide him more than what I'd say if normal Batman just jumped down there, right? Because he is younger
Yeah.
and more inexperienced. But it doesn't really necessarily prepare you for being down in hell, like you were just saying, right? And even Alan shares his weakness for wood. Now, this is later retconned out of the Alan Scott Green Lantern, obviously, but originally, the Starheart, when it did the whole lantern, gave him and told him to create the ring, its only weakness was wood. And I kind of think it's funny how they later retcon that out, but they also make him gay, so he kind of still has a weakness for wood. I'm sorry, I had to. There's just no way that was going to happen without me saying that.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Totally true. Totally true.
So then we kind of randomly go back to Dr. Fate and them because you kind of forgot they were down here, right? And she's talking to one of the demons. Remember, this is the female Dr. Fate, right?
Mm.
And they're trying to make a bargain with them, which kind of only leads to them. We see them being crushed by these worms, these coming out all from even her fucking eyes, right? But good old Terrific has a challenge for her slash it. I don't want to ever assume a demon's gender,
Mhm.
right? And it's kind of like everything's hanging in the balance, including his friends slash maybe coworkers. He doesn't really seem too friendly with some of them. Lives are at stake here, and he decides to offer the demon a challenge of true or false. And he reminds the demon, though, he's got it tatted on him as well as on his suit. There, he always does play fair because obviously that comes into question if he's going to try to trick her. So
Mhm.
this statement is false. Is that true or false? Obviously, the demon's like, you just said it was false, so it's false. But
But it's true then.
it's
Yeah.
true that the statement is false.
False.
So
Right.
obviously confuses the demon, and they're not too happy about it,
Gets
right?
pissed. She gets pissed.
Gets pissed. But you look at that, and as expected, you can't trust the demon, right? But Terrific wasn't doing this believing that the demon was going to hold up their end of the bargain. He was buying the other's time, and
To break through that wall to break through the next area.
yeah,
Because
to
he
get
like they don't explain this in the beginning, but like Nero's not just there. Like I think of this like a video game. You're in level 1 when you get down to hell, just like most interpretations of like the Inferno. Like there's many circles of hell. And so they're trying to get through this first level, and there's gonna be bosses at every stage. And I don't know, they don't name this demon, like you said. I want to believe it's Lilith. Um and so they have to get past her and her wall to get to the next section. So yeah, Terrific was just again, like he said, he doesn't care about any of these people. Even him doing this is just to create time for the rest of them to break through the wall and get to the next section.
which seems to be a reoccurring theme here, right? Is we are sacrificing people to give the others time to get through, and we're probably going to only reach Neuron with like 2 or 3 people. Hopefully, it's the
Yeah.
most powerful, right? They make it through though, and then of course Alan stays back to put up the barrier. But the demon, like let's say it is Lilith actually. She can read minds, and they
Mhm.
allude to that earlier, and she knows his weakness. And using wood, giggity, we see Alan. He just gets crushed.
Oh,
His armor's destroyed.
it's fucked.
Yeah, he's done for, right?
Yeah,
They even do the
she
Alan.
she
Alan!
yeah, I mean, she makes like the vines, the wood vines, like just pierce his body, go throughout out his mouth. I mean, he's toast. You know.
But they must press on to Neron, right? So we see Neron. He's kind of watching everything unfold through his viewing globe. It's like an Alpha 5 kind of thing in Power Rangers, right? And he's telling more of his minions to go. Obviously, he's sending them to go attack him, but it also kind of seems to be part of his plan because he's like, hey, make this like, don't make it look too easy, right? So he's got something else up his sleeve,
Mhm.
and that's kind of that right there is where the issue ends.
Yeah. Good to see
So
Nero though. He looks. I like Nero the way he looks in this. He looks awesome. Um, I'm hoping he transforms though. Like it's always the thing with Spawn. Like I forget the demon in Spawn. What the actual demon's name is? Shit.
the devil.
The one in the movie. The one in the movie where
Yep.
he's the clown, right? Like he's taken many forms, but in that he's the clown, and then he transforms to his true form. I hope they do something cool as fuck like that in this, where when they fight Neuron, he transforms into this fucking nasty looking beast thing. I'm
Right.
all for it.
A good issue. Like it had good action as far as
Mhm,
them going I mean, we spent most of the time and most of the issue in hell, right? And seeing what
mhm.
they're doing. But realistically, again, they didn't even really make it super far. And all this is to find out why the super villains are being supercharged on Earth. We're not focused on the evacuation. We don't know what's going on in the KO event right now. So I would say it's a loose tie-in, right?
Very loose. Yeah. I This happens with these, right? We talked about this. There's something that's going on in here that is probably going to be a big factor. We just don't know why yet. We don't know, is Neron in league with fucking Darkseid or the Legion? Like we don't know. There could be some other reason he's giving these supervillains powers. Maybe it was his initial plan to give them really hyped up powers so that they'd have a better chance in the tournament. Um, and maybe he didn't get a chance to do that with the ones that got brought in. I mean, we don't know yet. But it tends these type of things, especially ones that are tie-ins like this, there's vague references to the tie-in, but I'm guessing some of this is going to matter later in the game.
More than likely. Now, I will say we're covering all of the KO event. We had 4 different KO event issues that released. One actual main KO event number 2, which Mantis will be bringing you, and then obviously there was 2 other tie-ins besides this one. There was the Flash and Superman 32. Mantis will also be bringing you Flash. I've got you on Superman 32. Superman does do a good job kind of giving you
Mhm.
more. That one is, I would say, a lot more heavily connected to the KO event
Yes.
than I've not read the Flash yet, so don't spoil it
It
for
is
me.
it is kind of the same. Like the first issue touched on one or two things, but now like they're dealing with it is tied in pretty well to Dark Side. So
Okay, that's good to
yeah,
know. Like I said, I think that the tie-ins are starting to get better because
they are
the first whole wave of them focused on the evacuation really and
super
what
tight.
everybody was doing, and now it's kind of focusing on the information we need as they go into the second round. I say that
Mhm.
not in the bracket sense, we'll kind of, but the second round of what they're going to face down there, of challenges they're going to face. So
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
if you have made it this far with us and you're giving the video a like, because you should if you've made it this far. If you
Please do.
subscribe and have your bell notifications clicked, you will get alerted as we're releasing all of these videos, because unfortunately we have like 7 or 8 that have got to release here within the next week or so, week and a half. We're going to be releasing them kind of like back to back to back, right? And if you have the bell notifications clicked, you will get alerted when they do release. And liking it also helps the channel, because YouTube right now are being ginormous dicks.
See, there's 3 kinds of people: dicks, pussies, and assholes.
And
They
I
are.
don't know what is going on, but they are not liking our channels, probably because, well, to be fair, I didn't call them dicks before they started doing this, so this is kind of retaliation, right?
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
moral of the
Yeah.
story, they're being douches. So liking the video and subscribing definitely helps out the channel, guys. We try not to bombard you all with that in the very beginning, because we know
Mhm.
you're here to want to see the comic and us talk about it. So do us that favor. It helps out.
Yeah, the big thing, guys, two big things. Please continue to comment on our videos. But the most important thing, especially with our comics, the way we have them, we're doing the series, that bell notification is really important. That way, when the next issue comes out for Wonder Woman or comes out for Batman Absolute, well, I'm talking Absolute there,
Uh,
or even any of this
Wonder
KO
Woman
stuff.
also coming out
Yes. Yep.
14.
You'll know when those get released so you can, oh, I want to see what happens next, right? Like we go through all these comics with you, and basically you can just watch our videos and you don't have to buy the comic. And we put them in playlists for you so you can just go through the whole thing. Put it on your phone and put it while you're doing dishes or mowing the yard or whatever you're doing.
Yes,
um
let us just be playing in your pants while you're doing other
yes,
things.
we're very good at it. I've been known to rub spots off of jeans before. Okay.
I was
So
there. It happened.
We thank you for all of that stuff, though. Continue to support us. And Thor.
Even Thor there. See, he squeezed the chicken. Right? That's almost perfectly timed too.
Forget
Thanks,
about
Thor.
me.
Yeah, right. Thor thanks you as well too, guys. And all right, because this one's also kind of running a little bit long, but there's a lot more information we had to kind of go over in it as well too. That is going to wrap it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Later.
Oh, man.